Patrick Ewing. How you doing, sir?
Etan, I'm doing well, brother. I'm doing well. I'm making it.
You making it, man. Listen, it's it's an honor for you to come on my show, the Rematch on basketballnews.com and Fly TV. I never really told you how big of a fan I was of yours growing up. Like anybody who knew me growing up knew how big of a fan I was of the Knicks and of Patrick Ewing. You know what I mean? I was in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And I remember, that's when the Ewings came out. I'm going back and forth to Harlem because I was born in Harlem.
Right.
And I had a pair of the Ewings. So I got a real pair, and then I got a fake pair from 125th Street. Remember when they had all the different stuff on 125th Street? So I would wear the fake pair around because if somebody scuffed them or stuffed them, it was going to be an issue. And I kept the real pair nice and clean at home. But I was a huge Patrick Ewing fan.
No, I appreciate that, man, and I enjoyed working with you with the Wizards.
Yeah.
It's funny how we come full circle. We were just joking about when you was at Syracuse, and Coach Orr had me calling you and giving you all these tidbits that I'm like, Lou, why you have me calling these guys? And we have to Georgetown have to play against them. But I've always been a fan of yours as well. I love your work ethic. Had the opportunity to work with you with the Wizards.
Right.
And to see all the things that you did to get yourself prepared, that's why you had a very good career.
I really appreciate it. Yeah, Coach Orr is my guy. And those talks that you had to me back in Syracuse, those helped. You know what I mean? Because of course, how I looked up to you. But I want to take it all the way back. I want to start back with your relationship with Coach John Thompson. He was somebody that I had a tremendous amount of respect for. And we grew to be good friends, over the years as I was playing here with the Washington Wizards. But let's start off with the impact that he had on your life.
My relationship with Coach Thompson it went beyond coach-player relationship. I had the opportunity to play for him. I had the opportunity to learn under him and see all the different things, and even went to battle with him, and just see all the different things that had happened and that shaped him to be the person that he was. And a lot of the things that I stand up for now are things that I've learned from him. I always tell everyone he was started out as a coach-player relationship, then became a friend, a confidant, a mentor. All of those things, a second father, all of those things roll up into one. I admire him. If it wasn't for him, I would not be back here at Georgetown coaching. And I respected him deeply.
He had a certain style of coaching. Are there elements of his style that you kind of adopted and implemented with your coaching style?
No, we're all different. We borrow from everybody. I had the opportunity to play for a lot of great coaches and also coach with a lot of great coaches. So I try to borrow from everyone, and then add it to what I believe. I was fortunate enough that when I first got the job, Coach Thompson was here, and I would always be picking his brain, even to the last time I saw him before he passed. I'm at his house talking to him about basketball and about Georgetown. So I'm not going to say there's a lot of things that I took from him. I just think that the whole philosophy and the whole part about giving back and empowering people that look like us, those are the things that I borrow from him.
One of the things that I really admired about him, watching him when I was in middle school and high school, is that he stood up for Black coaches. He spoke out about racism, and that was something that I really, you didn't really see a lot of coaches doing that at that time. You saw, Nolan Richardson and maybe a handful of others, but Coach Thompson did that. Did he talk to y'all and teach y'all about society, the way people are going to view you, things about that when you were his player?
Yeah, we talked about a lot of those things, and then he would also bring people in that looked like us who made it in other avenues, not just sports. Bringing people who look like us that was at Coca-Cola, people look like us that was at McDonald's. James Brown was another person that he brought in. He started out playing basketball at Harvard and went into broadcasting. Look how great of a job that he's been doing over all these decades. So he would bring people in that like that to talk to us about there is life after sport. There are people who look like us that are doing other things than just either throwing the ball or bouncing the ball. So he would try to educate us about everything that was going on in life and that was going on for us.
I remember back in the day there was some things going on. Because fans have an interesting way of sometimes showing their enthusiasm for their team. That's a nice way of saying it, right?
Yeah,
But but I remember a time where there was some ugly things coming out of the crowd during the Georgetown games when you were playing there. I remember people holding up a sign that said, Ewing can't read this, or making racially derogatory comments from the stands, and some of that might have even been during the Syracuse games. What did Coach Thompson teach you and advise you on how to handle that? Because that had to be difficult for a teenage young man from Kingston, Jamaica, big up Jamaica, right?
number,
To be able to deal with. So, what was Coach Thompson's advice to you?
you're talking about something that happened a lot of years ago, but I just remember the incident happening, him pulling us off the floor,
Mm-hmm.
and him telling them we're not going to continue the game until all those racist, crazy signs were taken down. He stood up for me. He went to battle for me. He wanted to not only the people that we were playing against, but everyone know that you know we were a family here and we were going to stick together. We can't. And I felt like I mean I don't care what they say, they're the people in the stands. All they're going to make me do is just take it out on their team. So whatever venom or anger I was feeling towards the fans, even though I couldn't go in the stands, so I
Right.
was going to make sure that I take it out on every one of their players.
It's interesting because I remember I followed you and I was watching you. I remember that you had an interesting relationship with the media while you was at Georgetown. And look, I my whole time playing, I didn't really like the media myself, which is it is interesting because now I got into the media. But
Right.
the reason why is because I didn't like the way that they covered so many players, especially black players in the NBA. Now, of course, now it's a little bit different because guys have their own social media, so they could cover themselves. But back then, before social media, it was really tough. So how did you learn how to deal with the media, and describe how your relationship was with them while you were in college?
Well, it's funny because I learned about the media at an early age, and I think that kind of shaped the way that I viewed the media. Because here I am. I was 12 years old when I moved here from Jamaica,
Hmm.
and then at a point I started playing basketball, a game that I loved, and I started becoming good at it. So then I started getting all these media attention from like seventh grade. So seventh grade, eighth grade, I'm getting all these media attention. So everybody's building me up, and then at a point it turns, and they start chopping you down. So they
Hmm.
build you up to chop you down. So that's the kind of relationship that I had with the media. Now, in hindsight, I probably should have did a little bit more of the interviews and all those things. But I looked at it as, look, I could not do every interview. And then be coming here to Georgetown, Coach Thompson, he was also a person that took the brunt of the venom that they felt towards me because I was not given a lot of interviews. So all of those things shaped the way that I felt about the media. But some of them are good, and then some of them are bad. Some of them are bad, and you can't lump everybody all in the same pot. You have to deal with every person as an individual, and that's something that I learned over the years.
A lot of Syracuse fans would want to know what was your most memorable moment playing against Syracuse. Um, and so I have to ask that question. And I got to say, one of the ones that really stick out for me was you and Pearl. that was a big one. You know what I mean? But what was one of your most memorable moments?
We've had some great battles with Syracuse. Starting, playing, going first time being in the dome, and seeing all those fans,
Mhm.
all those orange. Then I remember a game. I think it might have been. I'm not sure what year it was. I'm at the free throw line and somebody threw an orange and hit the backboard. And yes, going against Pearl. Look, Pearl did not have a great NBA career, but he had a great college career.
Yeah.
Things that he could do with that ball, and I was fortunate enough to, I played against or played with Pearl. I went with a New York team to California, and Pearl was on that team. So
Okay.
we played together when I was a senior coming out of high school, and then battling him. And then it's funny you brought him up, and I was walking through the offices here yesterday, and I think they were showing the record me of the Big East, and they show when he gave me that shot, shot. And I was like, man, I still feel that shot. So I was like, where the hell is Pearl at?
Those were the good old days. Oh, when you say the Big East, it still hurts me so much that Syracuse is not in the Big East anymore. Like that, like oh my gosh, all year one. I'm not even gonna get started on that because it really I hate them being the ACC. Like I honestly do. I want to ask you something else. You were roommates. I grew up in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and you were roommates. Correct me if I'm wrong. At the '84 Olympic team with Wayman Tisdale. Is that correct? So Wayman Tisdale, he went to my middle school and high school, Carver Middle School and Booker T. Washington High School. Like he is like, you know what I mean, the man in Tulsa. Like he is somebody. He came and he would speak to. I remember him speaking to me like in middle school, in high school, offering words of encouragement, coming to speak to my class. We used to watch him play during Juneteenth. Because he played the guitar. He was just a great human being. But talk about your relationship when y'all were roommates, during the Olympic team.
Raymond and I got to be very good friends and stayed very good friends over the years. We would talk about his music, just like you alluded to. He was a big fan of music.
Mm-hmm.
Matter of fact, he even had his own band.
They were good too.
But always, yeah, they're very good. I
Mm-hmm.
bought some of his records,
Mm-hmm.
or CDs, whatever it was.
I got you.
We got to be very good friends. Of course, we battled each other, in practices during the Olympics. It's funny because people don't realize how great of a team that was in '84.
Mm-hmm.
You had three guys that's on that team played on the Dream Team. Myself, Michael, and Chris. And we demolished everyone that we played back then, and then demolished everybody that we played during the Olympics.
Right.
But it was a great team. It was a great cast of guys, and Wayman was, he and I developed a great friendship, and his daughter and my son, they still communicate to this day.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's real cool. I want to get back to coaching and ask you, how much joy do you have in coaching your alma mater? Like it has to be special. I know y'all had a little bit of a rough season this past season. But how great is it to walk out there coaching where you played, where you learned, where Coach Thompson, taught you and nurtured you and everything like that? How great is it to be coaching at your alma mater?
It's great to be back here, but the funny story is, Etan, I think the reason why I'm coaching is because of guys like you. My first year coaching was coaching you, coaching Brendan, Jahidi, and all those guys.
Mm-hmm.
You guys, I'll be sitting there teaching you guys things, and sometimes it'll be like you guys are not listening. And then when I see all the things that I'm trying to show y'all in practice, or teach y'all in practice, you're actually doing it in the game. That's why I fell in love with coaching. And then now, fast forward all these years, to have the opportunity to coach here at Georgetown, a place where I thought that this was 4 of the best years of my life. And that's what I want to do. That's my vision for myself as a coach, is to give back, teach these kids all the things that I've learned, through all my 17 years of playing, and now, 15 years of coaching in the NBA, and 5 years now at Georgetown. Yes, we had a rough year this year, and that's all part of growing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how, when I talk to kids, I talk to them about life, and I talk to them about, in life you're going to have bumps in the road. This was my bump in the road. This was my minefield of life. And it's all about learning from it, growing from it, and becoming, having it make you become a better man and a better person.
It's interesting because I watched a lot of the games, and I was actually in the Verizon Center. I still call it the Verizon Center. Was it the Capital One Arena? Whatever it was. I've been calling it the MCI Center
Hey,
sometimes.
I get mixed up with
But I was at the game when y'all played Syracuse, and I was really impressed with Aminu Muhammad. I've seen him play since he was younger. He actually played for our AAU team, for the older team,
Right.
FBCG Dynamic Disciples. Got to give a shout out to them. But he right now he is going to test the waters. Right, he's gonna tiptoe in, see how the feedback he gets. And he didn't hire an agent or anything like that, but he's going to test the waters, but left the door open for the possibility of him returning.
Right.
I saw him just tear Syracuse up. Like he guarded everybody from Jesse to Buddy to Jimmy. He went over to, he was on everybody.
Yeah.
He's really somebody who can be a special player. What's the advice that you give to him as far as how to decide if he's ready to go to the next level, if he needs a little bit more fine tuning? Because you're somebody, you could have left after your freshman year,
Right.
but you stayed 4 years, and obviously it worked out great for you. And of course, this is a different game now. But what is the advice that you give to Aminu on how to make that decision?
Well, I just try to be as honest as I can with him. I tell him you need to go test the waters. You need to go see, what's going to happen, if you will be drafted, where you'll be drafted, and then tell them, yeah, if that avenue does not work out for you this year, then I would love to have you back. I think he was an integral part of our team. I think he's only gonna get better. I love his motor. I love his ability. Still have a lot to learn, but the thing is, he's a great human being. He works extremely hard, as hard as he works on the court. That's as hard as he works off the court in terms of getting the things that he needs to get done in the classroom. Workouts, all those things. He's just a genuine person, and in this day and age, sometimes it's hard to find those people.
Mm-hmm. I hope he, of course, does what's best for him. I think it would be great to see him come back. I think, but wish him all the success. He's such a good kid, you know what I mean? And he works so hard, and you root for him to have success,
Right.
either way, whatever he decides. Let me ask you, what is it like coaching one of your best friend's sons? You know what I mean? Like, I know you coached Alonzo's son too.
Right.
What is it like coaching Dikembe's son? Like, it's got to be kind of weird because you've seen him probably since birth.
Right. And I've been knowing him since birth. I get on him. I curse him out. He used to call me Uncle Patrick. Now he just calls me Coach.
Right.
Right. But I've had a relationship with his family for a lot of years. I've been knowing Dikembe since he came here at Georgetown.
Mm-hmm.
And he and I have developed a friendship, a brotherhood that has stood the test of time. My job for Ryan is to try to make him the best player, the best version of him that he can be. Not to be Dikembe or not to be me, but just be the best version of him. And he's young. He came here at 17 years old, so he still has a lot of growth that he needs to be done on the floor and as well as off the floor. But that's the thing. It's I don't look at it as I'm coaching Dikembe's son. I just look at it as I'm coaching a young man that I see the potential, but sometimes you have to get kicked in the ass for him to reach it. I'm not sure if I can say ass on this.
That's all right. That's all right.
But sometimes he has to get kicked in the butt for him to. Anybody has to get kicked in the butt to reach their potential.
Let me ask you. There was a lot of buzz, a few years ago about Matt McClung, and people were excited, about him. He's also showed a lot of highlights, and now with the social media era, you can see just highlights. You know what I mean? And they can, but obviously it didn't work out, and he transferred. And a lot of people always ask, like, what happened with him? Why didn't it work out? Why didn't it, work out at Georgetown? But what went on with Matt McClung?
This is the era that we live in. People transfer. You know, they could have a great year and they still transfer. They could have,
Right.
they could have been playing a lot of minutes and still transfer. Mac had a very good career here with us. I was still hoping that he was going to come back. It didn't happen. But all we can do is wish him the best. You know, I still reach out to him from time to time, check on him. I know he's doing very well in the G League. I know he's been called up, I think once or twice. So you know, all I can do is from afar is wish him all the best. He was great to us when we had him here. He was respectful. He worked hard. You know, still had room to improve.
Hmm.
But you know, as you alluded to before, this is the era that we live in. People are going to transfer. You look at the transfer portal right now. There's over 1,000 people in the portal. So you know, some of them have good years, some of them have bad years, some of them are indifferent. But that's life in basketball right now.
You know, I was someone who, in theory, I was all for the transfer portal because my thing was, well, if coaches can leave anytime they want to leave and not have a penalty, then why can't players leave and not have a penalty? So in theory, that's where I was. But now looking at it, I'm like, oh, this might be getting a little out of control because everybody, like you said, somebody has a great year and then they leave. Do you think it's something that they're going to have to adjust, or in your opinion, do you think it'll be okay to have it as it is now? Because at first it was kind of implemented because of COVID, right? The people had the ability to be able to change, I think, but moving forward, they kind of got to make a decision one way or another how they're going to regulate it or what.
I'm not sure what they're going to do in the future. I don't see them going backwards on it.
Okay.
You know, I think at some point it will slow down in terms of the amount of people that's in it. You know, there's talk that the NBA is going to start letting these kids go from high school to the league. So
Mm-hmm.
you know, the better the elite ones, the ones in the top 50, they'll probably go straight from high school to the league, or at least try to. So I think that at some point it will slow down, hopefully. But I don't see them going backwards from it. You know, it's like they've already opened Pandora's box. I don't see how
Right.
they be able to close it.
Interesting. It's definitely going to be interesting. You know, you alluded to your first year of coaching with us, with the Wizards, and coaching all of us big men, and I thought it was great. And I don't know if you remember this, but when you alluded to it, I thought about it. But the first thing I said to you when you came, you know, I said kind of like, why are you coaching here and not with the Knicks? That was like the first question I asked you, because in my mind, I'm like, that should have been the first place that you were coaching, whether
Right.
it was to come up from the ranks of whether you started off at scouting or whether you started off at assistant, third assistant. I was like, you should be with the Knicks. Like, what you doing over here with us? And so I got to ask you, why didn't you start with the Knicks? Why didn't that work out? But what you told me when I asked you that, you don't know if you remember what you told me, but you told me they didn't ask me. That was your response to me. And
Yeah.
I was like,
You
why
know,
didn't they ask you?
it's funny because I was, you know, at dinner with Michael, and you know, we were talking about, you know, retirement.
Mhm.
And I let it, you know, I said, you know, well, you know, it's been 17 years. I'm going to retire. Uh, and you know, and he's like, why don't you come work here in Washington? Try coaching. If you like coaching, you know, stay under coach. Johnny Bach was going to be retiring at the end of that season, so I was behind the bench. And then if you don't like coaching, we'll move you to the front office. You can try the front office. Well, I tried, you know, the coaching, and like I said, you guys are the reason why I fell in love with coaching.
Mhm.
You know, the Knicks. I was never given an opportunity to work there, so I was given an opportunity to work in Washington, and you know, for Michael, and found the next chapter of my life. And I'm fortunate enough that I found something that I loved as much as playing, and here I am now, 30 plus years later, still doing it.
Well, shout out to MJ for giving you that opportunity, getting you started. But I got to go back to the Knicks though. I still don't understand why somebody like you. So for me, you know, and this is my opinion. You could just, this is just what I think. I grew a little sour with the Knicks because I thought it was disrespectful for you to ever play in a uniform other than a Knicks uniform. I didn't like seeing you with Orlando. I didn't like seeing you with Seattle. I thought that you should have ended your entire career with New York for all that you gave to New York. Now, this is just me personally. So that was like strike one. You know what I mean? So then I'm like, when you told me they didn't offer you an opportunity to coach there, I'm like, are they serious? Like, I don't understand why. Help me understand why they would not offer Patrick Ewing an opportunity to coach with the Knicks.
Well, in terms of me being traded, I think that was my desire to move on. I played there 15 years, and for 15 years you keep hearing the chatter. Well, the Knicks would be better off without him. They need to move on without him. So for 15 years, I kept hearing that chatter, and then as I got older, he's holding them back. He's on. So I'm like, I was tired of hearing it. So I say, you know what? I'm gonna be the albatross. I'm getting off this ship. So,
but wait. But was that the media? Because I know the New York media was tough. But was that the media, or was that coming from the Knicks?
It was a little bit everything. It was the media, some of my teammates. So you get tired of it. So I just asked him to move on. And in hindsight, that's something I should not have done. In hindsight, I should have ended my career there in New York because they realized in terms of the fan how important I was for the franchise, and I also realized how important the franchise was for me. So in hindsight, it was a mistake by my part. I should have finished my career there. But it is what it is, Etan. People make mistakes. They made mistakes. I make mistakes, and we move on. I think that I've learned and I've grown from the mistakes that I've made, and hopefully they have done the same. And even though last year wasn't a great year for us, I still believe that I'm a very good coach, and I still believe that our future is still going to be bright here at Georgetown.
Definitely. It's okay. That does definitely clear up a lot because I thought it was more of them. So I was mad at the Knicks. You know what I mean? I was like, hold up, you don't disrespect Patrick Ewing like that. It's okay. All right. So you cleared it up.
Right.
It wasn't all them. You kind of wanted to move on.
Move on.
Now, so they're off the hook for that one. Now, as far as the coaching part, I still think they should have offered you a position there. Would that have been? And of course, you're happy where you are now, but would that have been something that you would have welcomed going back and coaching at the Knicks?
Oh yeah, I mean, of course. I was living in the area. I'm not living in New York anymore right now. I'm down here because this job is 24/7, 365 days a year.
Right.
Yes, I would have loved to work for the Knicks. Like I said, I played 15 years there. 15 years is a lot of years to play blood, sweat, to give your blood, sweat, and tears for an organization. But it is what it is. I was given an opportunity here in DC to work for the Wizards and found my passion. It's funny because a lot of folks would ask me after that year when I retired is, do you miss it? And my answer was no, because even though I'm not out there physically playing, I'm still helping with the schemes and the things that goes into your team winning. So I didn't miss it. I found another joy, which was coaching, and coaching with some guys that were very good to me.
Who was your toughest opponent to go against while you was with the Knicks? Not as a team, but as a player. And how did you? Who's that?
You have Akeem, you have David, you have Shaq.
Yeah.
All of them were different. Akeem was He's a little shorter than me, but we had a lot of similarities in terms of skill set. To be able to shoot the basketball, he might have put the ball on the floor a little better than I did. But going against him, you had Shaq was a couple of inches taller than I am. Was bigger, and people when they see Shaq, they don't realize how athletic he was at that time.
Yeah, especially young Shaq.
Yeah, yeah.
Ugh.
I'll shoot the ball down this, and I'm telling somebody, catch it, hey, he'll be flying down the other end. And then David was athletic. He had size. He's left-handed. So those three guys were my three.
Was that Buju?
Yes, man.
All right. Big
Yeah,
up Buju.
I still listen to my reggae.
All right. All right.
Those two, but I'd say Akeem definitely would be the toughest.
So how do you even prepare for them? Because one of the things with young players, you studied the game
Right.
and you studied tape and you studied their tendencies and you studied, the things that they like to do, their weaknesses. Like you're actually really studying the game. I remember that's one of the things that you talked about a lot that first year when you were coaching with us, is that the preparation for the game before the game
Right.
happens. Talk about the importance of that.
It's very important to me. If I'm playing Akeem, I'm playing Dave, whoever I was playing. So I talked about those three as the three guys that if you don't bring your lunch, bring your lunch pail and hard hat, you're gonna get your butt kicked.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then I always, would watch the film or replay things in my head that because we played each other so many times that you learn the tendencies. You learn, what you did right, what you didn't do right, so what you did wrong. So all of those things I try to replay. What did Akeem do against me? What did I do against Akeem? What did David do against me? What did Shaq do against me? What did I do against him? What was I successful with? So I would replay all those things. I would watch film on it. So it became ingrained in my mind. So if I and then I played at a high level every time I played. It didn't make a difference who I was going against.
Right.
So I think that if I'm playing at my highest level going against those guys, everyone else I'm going to dominate. So that's how I approach the game. I respected the people I played against, but I was at they called me my nickname was the Warrior or Beast or whatever. But I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to be able to beast or dominate everyone I played. So that's the mindset I went out there with. So that all of that went along with my talent helped me to be as great as I was.
Man, those were the good old days. I mean, watching. I gotta tell you honestly, because my grandfather was a huge Knicks fan, and we would sit there in his apartment in Harlem and watch the Knicks play. And that's when, as a fan, we would be actively in there with you. So we would be sweating just like y'all be sweating. You know what I mean? Like it's not just sitting there watching. We'd be
Right.
like in there with you, and it was like like y'all played so hard and came so close so many different times, and it was just like heartbreaking. But it's like y'all earned so much respect in New York that you still have now, where people still say, okay, we need a team that plays and leaves it all out on the court like that group did, that leaves everything, you know what I mean, out there. And you might have come up short, but you still have the respect in New York because you left it all out there. Talk about that, how important that was to play with that level of intensity all the time.
But I think that we embodied or embraced, embodied the city is blue collar, hard working. Everybody, you have the factory workers, street guys, street workers. Everybody, they have the guys from Wall Street, but you have who helped build the city, the common people. So they embraced what we brought to the table, and Pat Riley. That's one of the things that he stressed. Jeff Van Gundy, all those to me, those are the Rick Pitino. Those are three of the best coaches that I had while I was playing for the Knicks, and I think that we embodied the city every time we stepped on the floor. There might be some scuffles out there, but
Yeah.
we gonna scrap, claw, and do everything possibly physically possible to help us to win. Unfortunately, it didn't work out for us where I wasn't able to win a title. Made it to two NBA championship games. Unfortunately, I only was able to play in one. Had an opportunity to win a title, but it was taken from me by Akeem. I beat him in college. He beat me in the pros.
Right.
Uh, but then I go to coach in Houston, and I'm sitting in the cafeteria, and I see this picture of Akeem blocking John's shot. So every day I'm calling John up. I'm like, why did you not pass the ball? But
That-
no, I just felt that we embodied the city, and the city embraced us. And then that was, other than when the Knicks were won those two titles, uh, my era was some of the best eras of basketball in New York. I mean, we went to
Definitely.
the playoffs, I think, 10 years straight. So, I think that's why the fans embrace us the way they embrace us today.
It's funny. I remember watching. I was young. I might have been like early in high school then. Watching y'all play against Houston, and it was on TV. I'm sitting there, me and my little brother sitting there rooting on everything like that. Y'all was doing good, everything. And I remember the OJ chase happened, and so they cut the game off and went to the chase,
Right.
and we was like, "Get that off the screen! Go back to the game! What are you doing?" So we yelling and fussing and stuff like that, right? And so mom comes in and she's like, "What y'all?" That was back in the day where you can't just be yelling in the house like for no reason, you know what I mean? So my mom was like, "What are y'all doing yelling in here?" And we tried to explain to her, and she was not getting it. She's like, "Don't be yelling in the house like that." But we was really mad, and then because they cut away from the game, but that was like the passion that most New York fans had watching the game. So like all of those losses, it's like New York fans took those losses with you. You know what I mean? Like to heart, like they felt it. Like, whether it was the Charles Smith part or the layup one in Indiana, we were like, oh, like in all the different, and the Houston one, the San Antonio, like we took those losses. So it was like, we wanted y'all to win so bad because you played so hard. You know what I mean? So what do you think about when you go over those some of those losses?
People still come up to me and like, I was in the airport somewhere in New York. I think it was New York, and some guy comes up to me, "Patrick, I love you, but how you missed that layup?" I was like, man, that's like 30 years ago.
Right.
But they had a passion. They had a passion for the team. They wanted us to be successful. They thought that they knew everything about basketball.
Of course, of course.
Most of them didn't, but they think. But they did have a passion for us, and they did support us. They booed us when they thought that we weren't doing well.
Yeah.
They also cheered for us. I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't change for anything in the world for playing in New York. I would have loved to have won a championship or two, but it just wasn't in the cards for me. We were going against a guy named Jordan, his teams. And then, unfortunately, we lost to Akeem, and I thought that we were going to be able to get back the next year. I hurt my leg, and then I missed the layup, so we weren't able to advance to play against Orlando, and then hopefully play against Akeem again. But you know what? It is what it is, Etan. I've had a great career. I was fortunate enough to live in Jamaica, a poor kid in Jamaica. And my mom worked her butt off to get us here to America, and fell in love with a game that has given me a lot of things that I would never have achieved if I was still back home, back in my native country. So I'm blessed, and that's how I look at it. And I was fortunate enough to play for the Knicks and help them to build their franchise into one of the powerhouses in my era.
Definitely. And I was going to ask you about Spike Lee. Was Spike Lee like? Did he help or hurt? You know what I mean? Like, because sometimes, of course, after the Reggie Miller thing, everybody was mad at Spike Lee. Like, I mean, me too. I'm young. I'm like, Spike, you should have said nothing. Right? You know what I mean?
But the thing is, Spike is not. He's not out there playing. That we were the ones who made the mistakes. Spike is an avid fan. I remember my rookie year. First time meeting Spike, and I think back then his tickets was way up top in the building.
Okay.
He always said, "Pat, can you talk to the owners? I want to move my seat down."
Yeah.
And once he did his first film, I think it was Do the Right Thing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no, she's got to have it. She's got to have it.
Okay.
He did that movie, and from that day on, all his seat was on the floor. So he did everything positive to earn those seats, and he's just like every other New Yorker. They're fans. They want to support the team, and they're still here. He's still there supporting the team even now.
Yeah, I see, and they've had some tough years, and and he's still out there right on the front row supporting them. So he is a forever Knicks fan.
Right.
Yeah, a forever Knicks fan. So are y'all pretty much? A lot of people want to know because they want to know how Knicks like John Starks and all the old guys. And rest in peace, Anthony Mason. That still really hurt when he passed. He was a great guy. I was actually supposed to do a panel with him in New York, and it was like maybe a little bit before he passed. So he was really a great guy in the New Yorker, like to the fullest at heart. Like he loved the city. But how are all the old guys? They're all good, and everybody all talk and everything like that. So your old teammates?
Yeah, we all still talk.
Good.
John and I, we'll still, he works for the Knicks. So he'll call. We'll hang out. When he came to our game in the Garden, Herb Williams, we still communicate. Derek Harper, we still communicate. Doc Rivers, me and Oakley, we were still communicating. We're not communicating right now, but hey, look, Oak was one of my best teammates. I respect everything that he did on the court. So Greg Anthony, so a lot of them we still communicate. We're all doing our own things. But yeah, we're friends. We're competitors, and we did a lot of great things together.
So you mentioned Oak, and you said y'all not really communicating right now. It's interesting. I interviewed Oakley a few years ago after the thing with Dolan happened in the Garden. This is like when I first started doing the rematch. I was with the Players Tribune, and I interviewed him about it, and he talked about a lot, and it was a real ugly scene, and I felt bad for Oakley, just because I didn't feel that that's how you do a former New York legend great when they come back to the Garden. I mean, I ain't know watching the Wizards great, but I go back to DC, they ain't gonna do me like that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm like, that's just not how you do. Right. But we did the interview and we were talking, and he said he made he alluded to the fact that some players didn't support him the way that he felt they should. He didn't say that you were one of them, but he said, because he was like, I really just know you 1 year because he played that 1 year in DC. Mm-hmm. And when I saw him at All-Star Weekend in New Orleans after it happened. I gave him a big hug, man. You all right? Everything you need anything? Like, I thought that was messed up, and I went on a few shows, talked about it. Actually, I went on Michael Rappaport's show with Kenyon Martin and talked about it. I was like, yeah, they did Oakley wrong. I think I wrote about it. And he was like, well, me and you, we really only knew each other 1 year. He was like, and you was kind of quiet, to be honest with you, most of the year. And I was kind of quiet. I was just, come on, I had legends there. I'm just watching and learning. And he was like, but some of my other teammates that I've known and played for and sweat with and, everything like that for years, they didn't really come to back, for me like I thought that they should. Then he kept saying it. And he sounded to me like hurt by it. You know what I mean? And I didn't know if you were one of those players in that category, because like I said, he didn't say your name. But thinking back on that incident, do you think that more guys should have came to his support? Do you think that, I don't know. How do you think you guys should have dealt with it?
I can't speak for others. Mm-hmm. All I know what I did. When I saw the incident, I picked up the phone, called, "You need anything?" That I saw that he was they took him, they cuffed him and they took him. I'm like, you need me to have somebody come bail you out, whatever you need. You know, what else am I supposed to do? I was asked about it by the media. I told them that it was wrong. Oak was an integral part of our team. He's an integral part of the Knicks fabric. Something like that, should not be happening. But I didn't know what else I was supposed to do. I'm still working in the NBA as an assistant coach. I can't, there's certain things that I'm trying to, work my way up the ladder to hopefully be a head coach in the NBA. So I did not know what else I was supposed to say or what else I was supposed to do. But all I could do was give him my support, let him know that I was there for him, and anything that he needed. When I was asked about it, I gave my honest feelings that I thought it was wrong, and things like that cannot happen. Um, and I supported him. But anything else that he might have wanted me to do, unfortunately, I guess I didn't do enough to show him what that I thought about him as a friend and as a player and as a former teammate, and that's how it is.
I hope as somebody who watched you all play, your entire careers with New York and was like right there with you. I personally hope that you all get back together and are back on talking terms and do like a public thing where y'all are together as brothers, because that's because when I tell you that I was a diehard Knicks fan, like after y'all like would lose the game, I go to school, somebody better not say nothing about the Knicks. You know what I mean? Like that's how seriously I took it. So even when you just mentioned you and Oakley aren't really speaking now, like that was like a jab to me, like, oh dang, like you know what I mean? Like it's supposed to be like this forever, like the Knicks over everything, like, and that's.
Hey, look, it's like I said before. He was one of my best teammates. I used to call him the hitman. He was the enforcer.
Yeah.
Anything happened on that floor, you always knew he had your back, and I wanted to let him know that I had his back in the situation. But there was only so much that I could do, or I believe that I could do. I supported him in every way I could. I even spoke to Mr. Dolan about the situation. Spoke to him about the situation. I know other people try to broker a peace, but I still respect Oak. I still respect his talent, but it is what it is.
Well, I'm still gonna hold out hope that y'all get back together and become brothers. You too. All right, that's great. So if you hold out hope with it and it's open, and he might, I'm confident that it'll happen when it's supposed to happen in due time. Sometimes brothers, fight. Sometimes brothers argue. Sometimes brothers have disagreements, and then they come back together. You know what I mean? As brothers are supposed to. So I'm holding out hope for that. But Pat, I ain't gonna keep you too long. Like I said, much respect to you. I'm rooting for you, except for against Syracuse. I can't root for you against Syracuse. You know what I mean? Hey, you my man, but I can't do that.
Let me tell you a funny story before I go. So I'm talking to Boeheim. I said, Coach, I said, Lou, man, every time we play y'all guys, I got strip search you, man. I got to make sure you don't have no orange. You can't have any orange. Coach Boeheim was like, well, you got to check his underwear. You might have some orange underpants on. I said, Coach, I'm not gonna go that far.
well, and I don't know if you know this either. I wanted to go to Georgetown. That was my first school that I wanted to go to. I like growing up and everything like that. I saw how Coach Thompson was with y'all. I saw the lessons. I saw how he stood up against racism. I was like, oh, I want to play for him. Like it was not even a question. But at the time, there was y'all had a lot of big men.
Right.
It was, Jamel Watkins, Boubacar Al. I think Boomshay was over in Africa, and y'all had him come. Jihadi was there at the time too. Y'all had a lot of big men. Right. So, Syracuse was my number 2 option. You know what I mean? And I remember my freshman year, I played against Georgetown, and I wasn't playing that much because I was playing against playing behind Otis Hill. Otis Hill was the man. He was bigger, stronger, better than me, so I just had to wait my turn. But Otis got in foul trouble real quickly, and then our backup center, Elvir Ovechina, he wasn't there. So Coach Boeheim threw me in. I hadn't played for 10, 15 games. So I get into the game, and Coach Thompson looked at me, right? And then he ran, I guess he yelled at Jihadi and called the play, and every time down, they passed him the ball. And then every time he tried to dunk on me, right? So, Jihadi was like a monster back in, and he was 300 pounds and quick off his feet in college, I'm like, where did you get this big dude from? So he tried to dunk on me every time, and I tried to block it, tried to foul him, and, anything, but I'm like, you are not going to dunk on me. So I set the record for the quickest foul out in Syracuse history. You didn't know that, right? I got the record for that. The quickest foul out in Syracuse history. It's like 5.5 minutes, something like that, right? Papers are killing me, all this, everything like that. So that whole summer, I'm working, right? Working, getting ready. So my sophomore year, I played Georgetown in DC, right? In DC. And I go off. 20-something points, 5, 6 dunks, blocking shots, yelling, screaming, beating my chest, all kind of stuff, right? So right after the game was over, we won. I made a beeline right to Coach Thompson, and I shook his hand. I was the first person, I went in front of Boeheim, shook his hand, and I said, you could have had me. And then he was like, I know. And then we left. And so we joked about that later on when I played with the Wizards and we became friends. But when I said that to him and had that game against Georgetown, I was like, my college career is complete. I am good now. But that's how much, respect I had always for Coach Thompson and the program and everything that he built. So to see you, coaching there, and and you had a tough year last year, but it's gonna get better. And you know what I mean? You're gonna rebuild, retool, and stuff like that. And I'm gonna be right at the next Georgetown Syracuse game. You know what I mean? With my Syracuse stuff on though. I got my
against you. I'm on
okay. And know it's gonna be a great game. So I nothing but respect to you, nothing but respect to Coach Thompson. Rest in peace. And I really hope that you have success moving forward in this entire coaching arena.
Man, I appreciate just keep on doing your thing. I love the books.
Appreciate it.
Just you have come a long way, and that's what life is all about. You learn from the mistakes that you make, and we grow. Continue to do. And when the time comes, don't forget me when I'm coming to knock on your door about your son now.
I hear you. I hear you. When he's young, he's learning. He's a sophomore now at DeMatha. They had all the stuff going on with Coach after Coach Jones left. But no, he's learning, and he's working hard, and he listens, and he has a passion for the game. And that's what, something that, some young kids, they don't listen and don't have that same passion. Yeah. But, he has a passion. So it is great to see. So, yeah, we're going to be running into you on the road. He's playing with Team Durant, so you'll see him on the A. Oh, you already know? Yeah.
Probably see him this weekend.
Yeah. You going down to Orlando?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's funny. Yep, that's where he'll be. So it'll be great to see you. But hey, I appreciate it, and say what's up to Coach O for me.
Oh, I will. He told me he was in a meeting in his office on some calls, so he would have came in.
He would have came in. All right, that's what's up. All right, appreciate you.
I'll be good, man.
All right, you too.